Hey guys, my name is Shai, and in this pick a card reading, we're going to be tuning into what you are becoming, this next level type of becoming. And I want to look at what this means for you, kind of first and foremost, honestly, on like the spiritual level. How is your soul itself evolving? How is your higher self or oversoul, however you want to look at this? How is your higher consciousness? How is that in and of itself evolving? Also, on a human level, what that might mean for you, how your life might be shifting and changing over the next few years, really. Although the timing on this is, going to be very personal, and I'm not going to be focusing so much on the timing, but I've just been noticing a lot lately, and I've been really feeling into this because I've been noticing it coming through for so many different people about how this next level is really on the horizon. But it's kind of bigger than a leveling up type of situation. It is really becoming something new. Your soul evolving into a new expression of itself, finding out that, oh, you are something brand new that you never have been before on the soul level, and ultimately, yes, also on the human level. And I'm a little curious to see how this works out in a group reading, right? In a collective reading. I was called to start doing this type of reading, offering private readings like this. So I do have this available on my Etsy shop and on my website. Links down below, along with the timestamps for the different piles. My guides were also like, go ahead and do this as a group reading. And so I'm curious to see what comes through because there's going to be obviously multiple people tuning into each of these groups. So we're just going to see what comes through here. It could be, soul groups going through this together, star families going through this together, oversoul groups going through this together, or just anybody tuning into the same kind of frequency, the same kind of wavelength. So I will go ahead and pick your card, guys, and I will see you in your reading. All right, card number 1. What are you becoming? What is your next level on the soul and in the human realm? I just have one card ready for you here. I don't know what it is, and then I'm going to be getting a bunch more cards. So I will just begin by flipping this up and seeing what this is. Courageous alignment, 7 of light codes. Wow, this is piercing up to a next level. Piercing, that is the first word that comes to mind here. Honestly, like a sharpening of your energy, a honing of your energy, becoming like a spear, even like a wooden spear that you have hardened in fire, a fire hardened spear, or even becoming kind of a weird image here, but imagine if a flame could somehow become solid, if a flame could become crystalline. That's the vibe here. Becoming a crystalline flame. Becoming a crystalline flame. I'm seeing this as red, but I'm also seeing it as violet. So that could be, you could be resonating with both of those, or maybe some of you are going to resonate more with this kind of red flame and some of you more with the kind of violet flame, potentially other colors as well. But it's this, okay, now I'm hearing fusion, I'm hearing purification, boiling down. There could be a kind of stripping away, becoming so much more focused. A crystalline flame. So that, pretty ambiguous, I know, but that is the feeling of what is going on at the level of your higher self, is how I want to say that. The feeling here is 5D, 6D, 7D, even maybe moving into 8D. That's the kind of zone of consciousness that I'm getting with this, and it's focusing. And so I feel Okay, so two different things here. Let me finish this kind of abstract level. Out there in higher dimensions, in higher realms, there are, I mean, I can call them, sometimes I call them, because I like to make things funny, because I think I think being able to laugh at this kind of stuff helps me integrate it, helps me understand it, and helps me realize it doesn't need to be that serious all of the time. Because, talking about all of this super fringe spiritual stuff can sometimes get super weird, and it can sometimes feel very, very serious. I don't think it always has to be that way, right? So, to kind of dial back the mystery of this a little bit, let me talk about giant space crystals. Okay, and that's how I call them, giant space crystals. Some of you might have heard me mention this before, where I had an out-of-body experience where I returned to a version of myself that was a giant piece of selenite floating out in space. And there were giant pieces of other types of crystals all floating around in space around me. The Giant Space Rock Collective, okay? So there are somewhere, somehow, out there in consciousness, right? There are literally pieces of giant crystals floating around, and they are conscious, and they are alive, and they are holding space for us here. And you could be one of those. So, and this is, in another reading, I might talk about how, there is this feeling, okay, is there ever really anything new? Everything already exists in parallel. Therefore, when you have an experience of becoming something, are you really becoming it for the first time, or are you returning to that state that already is? That is how I vibe most of the time, that everything that is already all exists, everything is in parallel. And even though we have these experiences of moving towards something new, of growth, it is kind of just that we're tuning into that, or tuning back into it, or we are returning to it. However, so I do feel like that is a very important view, and that is true a lot of the time. With this particular reading, I'm kind of being led in a new direction, and this is where we have to kind of hold the paradox where two things can be true at once, even if they seem to be opposite and contradictory. With this reading, it's more like the vibe here, the feeling here. It is really more about becoming something that you have never been before, becoming something new. So how we fit that in, how we understand that on this, in conjunction with this idea that, everything already exists, I'm not sure, but I have to just go with the vibe, right? So the feeling here is that you are literally becoming one of these giant space crystals. You are literally becoming crystalline. For me, and you can think about, what is your favorite crystal? Like, if you're into crystals, right? Or even if you don't care about crystals, is there like a rock or a type of crystal that you're just kind of drawn to, right? And I'm talking crystals, but this also could be a stone, a type of like a mineral, right? It doesn't have to be literally a crystal. It can be something that we would call a stone. Even precious metals, even precious gems, anything like that. Mineral consciousness. You are becoming this on this higher level. And if you are drawn to any one particular mineral, then likely, that's a big clue, because, on one level, I am literally a giant piece of selenite, and the selenite happens to be my absolute all-time, hands down favorite crystal. If I could make my house out of selenite and just live inside of a giant thing of selenite, I would do it. And of course, that's funny, because on some level of my consciousness, that's what I have become. I have made my body out of selenite, because that's how much I love selenite. It is the best feeling thing. So anyway, all of you tuning into a different type of crystal or mineral consciousness, even metal consciousness. And it really is this feeling of forging. And that is interesting, because that is one of the many reasons that your soul came down into this density on Earth, so that you could forge yourself into this. Because before, for you guys specifically, there's this feeling that you have been rather diffuse, right? You have been rather diffuse, misty, fiery, mutable, even watery, airy, these type of energies, right? more flowy, more movie, more easily changeable, fluid, flexible energies, which is of course is so amazing and incredible and beautiful. And some people are going to be inevitably going on the opposite journey of you. They're going to be moving from being more solid and dense and becoming more like you, but you are going the other direction at this time, at least in terms of this aspect of your consciousness, right? You're becoming more forged, more fixed. And it is going to take some type of courage here, right? Courageous alignment, courageous alignment, courageous alignment. Just let you look at this for a sec. On one level, it's like a chakra alignment, right? Maybe some of you have been working on your chakras, or more specifically, rather than just working on any one chakra, some of you could benefit from working on aligning all of your chakras, like getting them all nicely in a line and getting them resonating so that more energy can flow between you. You might even like to tune into alternative ideas. Like there's another system. So of course, there's a whole train of thought about deconstructing the chakra system and just having an open flow of energy. And what I'm being reminded of right now is, I'm not sure if it's all spiders. Like, I just heard about this once. So, take this with a grain of salt, but this is the imagery here is I think it's spiders. Maybe it's an insect. Maybe it's only some spiders, but that they don't actually have arteries and veins, that their heart just pumps and blood just kind of like squishes everywhere inside of them. And then it just kind of like moves around in this kind of free flowing type of thing. Maybe that was just one type of spider. I don't know, but I know I heard that somewhere at some point in my life. At any rate, that is the image here, right? Of just having your energy free flowing instead of having it go through the 7 chakra system. Or maybe you've been in that kind of space, right? Maybe you've been in that internally deconstructed space where things were more free flowing, and you are now kind of bringing that chakra system back online. And I know this is a little bit back and forth, but this is interesting. It's reminding me of my own journey, kind of feeling into my chakras. And I have gone back and forth on this. One I was like, okay, yeah, the 7 chakra system, like totally into it, feeling that inside of me, really resonating with that. But then also going through phases where I was really resonating with this idea of deconstructing the chakra system, of having it totally removed. And then other systems like the 3 dantians, basically like we would call it like the lower 3 chakras, like your lower dantian, the lower dantian where all of your power is, the middle dantian, and then the upper dantian, and having the energy can flow that way. So there's all these different ways of looking at the way your energy flows inside of you. And that is definitely something that you guys are working on, whether you are aware of it or not. So some of you, if you're really into this kind of stuff, right? If you're into chakras and feeling into your own internal energy system and your energy structures, and maybe you tuning them up or reconstructing them, if you're already into that, then this is just kind of confirming this for you. If you're not like into this, right? And you don't need to be into this, but just know that some of the sensations and feelings and thoughts you're having could really be related to how your internal energy system is reconstructing itself. And there is a little bit of a back and forth. So I don't know if that's just part of the weirdness of doing this as a group reading, right? Where some of you are kind of going in one direction and some of you are going in the other direction. Or some of you as individuals are kind of doing both, going back and forth. So this is why I was like telling my guides, I was like, how am I supposed to do this particular reading as a group reading? Because it gets a little complicated like that, right? So anyway, be that as it may, let me get some cards on. Okay, so they're saying like, what will help you align? Like, what do you want to align to? What do you want to align to, right? Because like there's alignment, but what are you aligned to, right? Alignment doesn't really, like, where does that get you if you're not aligning to something? I mean, you can be all in a line, but where is that pointing? And depending on what you want to align to, that will change how you align yourself and how you align your own energy. Does that make sense, right? You got to know what you are aligning to. You got to know what you are aligning to. And that can be different for everyone. Once you have decided what you want to align to, then you will have a better idea of how to go about creating that alignment. King of Earth. King of Fire, but that came out in reverse. Very interesting to get two kings. Page of Earth. Literally becoming something you haven't been before. Okay, and I think it is really significant that, whoa, and the Page of Fire was at the bottom, along with the Tower. You guys, because I was going to say it's really interesting to get two kings, but the King of Fire is in reverse, and then I get the Page of Fire, but that came out with the Tower. So remember at the beginning I was saying that it feels like you have been more like a flame, right? You have been that kind of mutable, moving type of energy, more like a flame, but you've been forged in fire, right? You've been hardened by fire, becoming like a spear, and that you're becoming more crystalline or more in tune with mineral or metal type of consciousness, right? Like you're becoming like more solid and more together. That's exactly, like that is exactly what these cards are saying, because the King of Fire came out in reverse, meaning to me that this reversal means that this is being released, right? That you've kind of, in order to become this more earth energy, this more grounded energy, this more dense and kind of connected and collected energy, it is a moving away from and a release of this fiery energy, and having the Page of Fire come out there as at the bottom of the deck with the Tower. For me, the bottom of the deck is what you are moving away from. I know that's not necessarily how all readers read the bottom of the deck, but that is my thing, and that's how the cards come out, because that is my thing. So, and it comes to mind that as I'm recording this in February 2024. I mean, this is a timeless reading. This is for you whenever you receive this. But at the time I'm recording this, the North Node is conjunct Chiron in Aries. And that is significant here for some of you, because that is this transformation of that fire energy, right? A transformation of fire. And for some people, it is feeling like their fire is kind of being put out, but also that this can be a very transformative period. And it's a little complex, because Chiron can feel like this, this wounded healer energy, this wounded energy, literally about poisons and wounds, about poisoned wounds. But I've really been thinking a lot about this, and sometimes this Chiron energy, this higher potential of this Chiron energy is actually to like shift a paradigm, because the Chironic wound, to a large extent, is a wound that we can never really heal. I mean, we learn to live with it, and we learn to ease the pain of it, and we learn to accept it. And that is a whole healing journey in and of itself, right? But it's like we will never become this like a person who doesn't have that Chiron placement, right? So for the purposes of this example, I'm talking about your personal Chiron placement. We all have our own wounds and our own baggage around our Chiron placement. And no matter how far we come on that healing journey, we will never really be like a person who doesn't have that particular Chiron placement, because that wound shapes us and makes us who we are. And we don't unbecome who we are, right? It is part of what gives us our shape, part of what makes us who we are. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. That is actually the purpose of wounds. Like literally our wounds are what give us our shape. If you were to take scissors and cut a shape out of paper, you'd be wounding the paper, but that is what is giving the paper shape. Our wounds are what give us our shape. So, your personal Chiron placement might have something to do with this here, but also the transiting North Node conjunct Chiron, where as a collective, we are all pushing through this, and it depends how this is aspecting your chart personally, like what house it's in and how you resonate with Aries energy in general, and also the Libra energy opposite that. But this feeling here of maybe, I mean, this will feel different for all of you, but the kind of general feeling here is this: you've been in the fire, you've been being forged by fire, and you've been hardened, and something here has taken a lot of courage. And it almost feels that at some points your fire has almost burned out, or maybe it's burned down and become a glowing ember. I think that is what this is, right? So maybe sometimes it has felt for some of you that you've been snuffed out, or someone is trying to douse your flame, right? That maybe your light has been shrouded, that type of thing, or maybe your power has been lost or been taken from you, that you somehow lost your power at some points. But I think what's really going on here is, think about when you're having a campfire and you throw a bunch of logs on the fire. Like, you get the fire going, you throw a bunch of logs on the fire, you have this great big roaring fire, and that's really, really nice, right? We all like to sit around a nice big roaring campfire. But if you want to cook something over the fire, or if you want to have a fire that, where you can, that it is sustainable over the long term and won't just burn out, you want to let it burn down, right? You let those logs burn down and the flames get lower, but now you have this nice bed of coals. You have these embers in the fire. And think about how wood turns into an ember, right? How wood turns into an ember. And I mean, I think there's a process of turning wood into charcoal. They used to do that in the Middle Ages. They would like bury wood under heaps of dirt and like burn it for 3 days or something. And that's how you could turn logs into charcoal, I think. That's just something else blipping into my mind that I remember seeing once, right? And that's coming back to becoming crystalline, right? Almost feeling like an ember. That's almost kind of crystalline, right? In a way. I know it's, not, but can you feel the similarity in the imagery there, right? The similarity in the imagery, like imagery-based thinking, symbolic thinking, but specifically imagery-based type of thinking seems highlighted for you guys at this time. And so, becoming, it's like the transmutation of your power that used to be really hot and fiery is getting boiled down, and that might sometimes be uncomfortable. And for some of you, that might be a big fear-facing thing. But you're going to like where this goes, okay? You're going to like where this goes especially because I wanted to get some cards here on how this is going to be for you in the human level, the physical level. And we got 2 of these Earth cards coming out, right? The King of Earth, which is literally someone who has complete and total mastery over their own life in the physical plane, right? This is somebody who is independent, but is also connected with their family and their community, who is a leader, but does not lead through control or through force. They just simply do as they are doing. And the side effect of that is being an inspiring leader. This is somebody who has a strong foundation, a strong, strong, strong foundation. This is somebody who is unshakable, but is not without empathy and compassion and intelligence. This is somebody who has enough money, has enough food, has a good, solid place to live. But it's also coming through with this Page of Earth, and it's balanced out here with this childlike energy. We have this kind of pixie-like kind of figure here, having this balanced out. So this is honestly, it feels like a rebirth to your material life. And this is Earth energy, so it has to do with your resources and your finances and your sense of security. So however this is shifting for you, we did have the Tower, right? We did have the Tower. So whatever the fire is representing for you, I mean, and that could even represent like romance and passion, right? That kind of thing. It could even represent sex, something about your passion and your fire that could be falling away, and that could be triggering, right? But it's because there's a settling down of your energy, a settling down into this coal. You're becoming like the embers, you're becoming the coal. And this is going to be really necessary for the process of your life. It is like setting the foundation for the rest of your life so that you can actually have all of those things that you have been desiring, right? The physical security and abundance and feeling grounded, right? The feeling grounded. More to the point here, this is about being human, being in the animal body, your actual animal body, being in it, and then belonging and being connected to the earth. It feels like the completion of what you came here to do, and that you could never quite do it before because you were never quite grounded enough. Even if you're going, no, I was totally grounded. I was totally grounded. I mean, I totally know the feeling, right? We often think like I've been grounding and grounding and grounding and I'm so grounded. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You have been grounding and grounding and grounding and you were very grounded, but there are always these deeper and deeper and deeper levels of grounding for us to experience. And every time we think we are completely grounded, we find out, oh, wait, there's actually, my roots can go so much deeper. My roots can go so much deeper. And when your roots are deeper, then you can grow higher. So there's a little bit of, sorry, one sec. Sorry about that, guys. My dog was interrupting us. What was I trying to say? There could be a little bit of a feeling here of like a reality check. Like an example here is somebody who really wanted all their life to be an artist, to follow their passion, right? And somebody who said, I'm not going to work a normal job because, right, I have to live by my art. I'm going to live and die by my art. I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to live the artist life. And maybe they do this for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years or however long it is. And, they pursue their art and they live the life of an artist. And one day they just get tired of being broke all the time, or they get tired of the scene, right? Maybe they get tired of some of the people they've had to deal with. They just get tired, right? They just get tired of it. And maybe on one level, there's a lot of mourning that might go over here because they feel like, am I going to be giving up on my dream? Am I going to be betraying myself? Am I betraying my art, right? Am I not going to be an artist anymore? Because maybe they decide to go work a 9-to-5, go get a corporate job, or go work in an office, right? Go do something that they feel is, not the kind of thing that they had dreamt their life of doing, right? It could even be somebody who maybe had big ambitions to have a big, stunning corporate career or to go off and to do big plans, big deal, right? But then they end up maybe having a family and they become a stay-at-home parent, and maybe that, can feel like this big dousing of their flame, this dousing of their dreams. But the path here, the process here is to fully ground you so that you can now plant your garden, and that so you can grow something from this place. So maybe the artist who quits their life as an artist to go work in an office, maybe then instead of performing in nightclubs and doing different things, right, traveling with their band, maybe they come home from their office job or maybe even at their cubicle, right, and maybe they write a book. Maybe they write a book, and maybe that book is the art that they were really meant to share with the world, and maybe they never would have written the book if they hadn't have gone and, gotten that job. Or maybe the person with the great big dreams who ends up being a stay-at-home parent, maybe the what they learn through parenthood, or the time or the space or just the energy of being at home with the family, maybe that is the fertile soil that they need in order to start their next great project, to have a business that they build from the home. Or maybe it puts them through a whole process of spiritual growth that then takes them on a journey that they never knew, right? So there's this feeling of, yes, on the one hand, dousing something, but you're not being doused. Your flame is actually simmering down and becoming embers, becoming coals. And then an ember, right? You can use that to light the fire anew. Just like at a campfire, right? You can bank the coals. You can, if you haven't, if like this won't work if you have like just some logs that are on fire and then, you know, they'll burn out by the morning. But if you have a nice bed of coals, you can, you know, if you've ever done this, you can kind of pile them all up and kind of put some of the ashes around them and maybe put a log on top, and you can kind of get it so that they will stay and they will smolder overnight. And then in the morning, you don't need to start the fire all over again because you have these nice coals that have survived the night, right? You guys are the coals that will survive the night. And then in the morning, you just need a little bit of tinder and then a new log, and then the fire is already burning. So if you feel like your fire is burned out, it's not. It's burning low and becoming the coals. And yeah, so on the spiritual level, it's because you are becoming crystalline, okay? You are becoming crystalline. Let there be closeness between you, but always give each other space. Love never claims, it simply allows and gives. I'm going to just leave you guys with that message. Sending you so much love and light. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, card number 2. Let me find out, what are you guys becoming? I have one card and then I'm going to get a bunch more cards. If you will just bear with me a moment. I see the deck I need to use for you guys is buried. Okay, yeah, this Dreams of Gaia Tarot, I don't use it all that much, even though it's really, really beautiful, and it was buried under a big giant stack of other decks. To dig it out, this is going to be relevant for you guys. And I feel like this you know, this message of something was buried, I had to dig it out, that's somehow symbolic for you guys. So let me just see what this card is. Oh, Ace of Earth Guardians, right? Ace of Earth Guardians with this meadow. Interesting. This would be the Ace of Pentacles. What I'm hearing with this is Earth Angel, Earth Angel, Earth Angel. You might have, some of you are going to have some Capricorn energy. If you don't have any Capricorn energy, don't worry about it. This is still for you. That's just a synchronicity for some of you. Earth Angel, Earth Angel. I can already see how this is like leading off from the previous reading. So some of you would have watched reading number 1, because that was also this energy of kind of coming down to earth, and we have more of this earth energy again. For you guys, I feel that the angel part, the angelic part, that higher energy, higher dimensional energy. And I mean, you know, you can take or leave the word angel. I know some of you probably love the word angel. Some of you probably have some reservations about the word angel. So take that or leave it, right? You could just replace angelic with higher consciousness, right? You could replace it with Blu-ray energy. But that was another earth card, but I shuffled it back in. So the feeling is that most of you are probably already pretty comfortable in that higher space, that Blu-ray space, that angelic space, that honestly this air space. Pile number 1 was more about turning fire, bringing fire down into the earth, turning fire or using fire to create earth energy. For you guys, it's more about coming down from the air. So that's why both could resonate, or maybe just one will resonate, right? But coming down from the air, coming down into the earth. And wow, you've got these 3 major arcana here. I'm not going to translate these into traditional tarot cards. We're going to take them as they are. Okay, even that, So there's a lot of metacognition going on with you guys where you're called to really notice the meta message, to at this time not get too distracted by details, because I feel like there is this kind of air energy thing going on. I mean, it could even be Virgo energy. But anyway, we don't need to worry too much about, the zodiac stuff. It's that you guys have this, you do have this attention to detail, and you have this kind of penchant for communication. And there is a desire here to have like clear and specific and detailed communication. This could be between you and your guides or you and others. So you are kind of gently requested at this time to not focus too much on the details of what other people are saying, and also not to worry too much about the details of how you are communicating, because there is a thing here about really learning a deeper way of communicating where it's not the details that are so important, especially not the verbal details. Maybe some of you are watching this like, later on and it's a Mercury retrograde or something. This is like Mercury retrograde kind of energy. It's not a Mercury retrograde at the time I'm posting or recording this, but there is a Mercury retrograde kind of vibe going on here. Maybe some of you have Chiron in Gemini or in the third house or something. It's that kind of thing. Anyway. The meta message, the metacognition. Pay attention to, I'm trying to think up a clear way of articulating this. Say you like phone your friend and your friend has a bunch of stuff to say and you kind of don't necessarily agree with everything your friend just said. Or maybe you think, oh, they didn't understand what I said, or oh, they're not on the same page as me, or oh, why did they say that? That sounded kind of weird, or why are they even talking about that? And it feels like the communication is off, right? Or maybe you're saying that, maybe that's you, and you're like aware of how maybe your communication is off, right? Maybe it feels like there's something off with communication, and that's kind of bothering you, right? If you see beyond the details, this will all cease to bother you. And if you see the meta message, then you'll see how everything is actually all blending together. And even if somebody says something that is, maybe it is just literally wrong, right? Maybe you can look at it and go, no, what they said is factually wrong, or maybe it just doesn't make any sense, or maybe you don't even know why they're saying it. But look at the meta message and see how everything is kind of cascading together. It's this feeling of really allow your verbal mind, so the part of your mind that uses human language, allow that to like dial back a lot. And instead of really looking at the sentences that people are saying or the facts that people are communicating or even people's opinions, dial it way back and just look at the concepts. Just look at the pictures that they are painting. Look at maybe literally the individual words, and maybe somebody says, I don't know, maid, and you're thinking M-A-D-E, but think of all the homonyms, right? Then there's maid, M-A-I-D. Just so think of homonyms, right? Think of maybe even anagrams. Just think about how everything is kind of stewing together in this great widening gyre, this vortex of ideas, of patterns, of symbols, and of saying one thing and having it also mean all these other things. And then go even one bigger and think, what is this entire scenario? What is all of the feelings that come along with this? Even the feelings of, oh, they didn't understand what I said, or oh, I didn't make myself clear, or oh, am I saying it wrong, or oh, which one of us is right, or and the feelings of confusion, maybe the feelings of doubt or uncertainty. How is all of this stewing together? Like, what is the meta message of all of this? What is the greater meaning here? And again, maybe you can, but maybe you don't need to figure out a specific answer, because it's not really about figuring out a specific answer here. You're learning honestly to listen to the music of the spheres. You're learning to listen to the music of the spheres and just feel this greater cosmic flow. To feel this greater cosmic flow. When you're listening to music, especially music that doesn't have words, maybe it has vocals, but maybe there's no words, right? Think about music with no words, wordless music. And how that is, even though there's no words, the communication is still so effective, maybe even more effective. I mean, I'm very musical. Music is, maybe it's my greatest passion. Maybe right behind spirituality as a concept. It is my greatest passion, And I always feel that music is the closest we come on this earth to having a one-to-one, true heart-to-heart communication, because it's just energetic and emotional. And if a musician is feeling something and then they put it into sound, right? They put it into sound and they play it, and then the person who's listening, the audience, they can hear the sound, and it creates the same feelings. So you go from feelings to sound to feelings. It's the feelings being translated and transmitted through sound. And in my experience, right? And I know not everybody feels as enthusiastic about music, because some people it's something else. Some people it's color and shape or movement, right? It doesn't have to be music for everyone. It's not going to be music for everyone. But for me, it's music. That's the closest I experience to this one-to-one emotional communication. And you guys are learning that on a much, much more expanded level, where you're actually kind of feeling this with the whole universe, with your entire reality. You're learning to feel the vibrations of your entire reality. And since you're learning to interpret the vibrations, or to hear the music of your entire reality, you have to really zoom out. You have to let your mind to unwind. And that's why there's this message of don't fixate on the details, because that would be like listening to a song and like letting your enjoyment of the music be derailed by one little missed note, right? Maybe you're listening to an orchestra play, and I know like the best of the best of the best orchestras, they will probably do a whole performance without any real mistakes, right? But maybe somebody, I'm just seeing like things that can go wrong with musicians, right? A drummer, your stick can break. If you play a woodwind, your reed can break, right? On a violin, your string can break, right? So even if you are dealing with flawless, perfect musicians who don't make mistakes, and I don't really know if I believe that there's a musician who never makes a mistake, even on the highest level of musicianship, I think that the best musicians, they make mistakes, but you don't notice, because they incorporate it into the music. So anyway, my point is that you wouldn't go to the symphony and let your immersion in the music, you wouldn't let a few little weirdnesses disrupt your enjoyment, right? You would even take that as part of the experience. Because look, when the drummer or the percussionist, when their stick broke, they kept playing with one hand and then they grabbed their other stick and they did it flawlessly, right? Even though that happened. So okay, so there's this whole you tuning into this meta vibrational reality. And this is like really deep, and I could go on and on about this. For some of you, this is going to be resonating on the level of, instead of tuning into archetypes, you're going to getting into the level of meta archetypes. Some of you, maybe you've been into angels and stuff, communicating with your guardian angels, and then you're going to be getting into this next level of getting into the archangels or ascended masters, or whatever you perceive as to be this kind of higher level of consciousness. For some of you, this is kind of getting over the whole kind of multidimensional reality where we're all communicating with these higher dimensional beings and these different aliens and these different angels and this and that and yada yada yada. And some of you are going to be like, you know what? Let's just cut to the chase and cut to the source. I am just going to be communicating one-on-one with source, with spirit, with the universe, with God, with goddess, with creator, whatever that word is for you. Like right to the one, right to one, right to one, right? Kind of cutting out all the interdimensional middlemen and going right to one. Right to one. So I had wanted here to kind of talk about what are you becoming. So how am I going to get that for you guys? Let me get some cards. I mean, I already got some cards, but I mean, I haven't. I'll just show you these. This was inspiring my whole rant just now. I will let you look at these more closely. Here you have intuition. We have this kind of witchy priestess looking figure with a spider, a black cat. Or wait, that's not a black cat. That is a little kind of gremlin looking guy. Kind of looks like a cat though, but kind of looks like a little gremlin looking guy. An owl, and she's holding, I think, a pouch with a little moon symbol on it. You have death and rebirth. Golden egg with the snake and these skulls. Death and rebirth, death and rebirth. And wisdom. This kind of hermit energy. Sagely, sagely, sagely. So, what are you becoming? You're becoming love. You're becoming love. This would be the Lover's card. So this Lover's card, we have this woman and the lion, but we have these two pillars here, which interests me. The Magician. And strength. That's funny because I was thinking strength because strength is normally the card with the woman and the lion. So you've got two cards of woman and lion with this magician in the middle. How do I want to translate this? I know there's always this glare. It's the problem. You always need lights, but then the lights make glares and it's never as good as I want it. But that's okay. Right? That's okay. Okay, so I actually had the camera paused for a couple of minutes. I was really having to drop out of my mind and the temptation to analyze and interpret the cards because that wasn't really helping me here. I had to just, go blank, go empty, and just see what there was to see. Honestly, it's been a very, very long time since I've had to do that in a reading. I used to have to do that when I was starting out with readings. I would stop and I would have to blank my mind and empty myself and then try to receive the message, receive the inspiration. I don't normally ever have to do that anymore. But I think because something I'm picking up from you guys, and it's going back to that kind of air energy and this temptation to want to analyze with the mind. I don't think that's not like a big deal. It's like not a big problem for you guys, but just something to be aware of here is that is one of the patterns that could hold you back. The temptation to want to look at all of the details, to want to find a linear message, to want to find from the place of your mind a kind of explained understanding. So what will help you more is to practice the art of emptying, right? To empty the mind, and then just look into the nothing, to look into the nothing. And then when I practice that, what I see is you guys becoming a beam of light. Could also say becoming a channel. Between source and the earth. Now, on one level, everyone is this because we all have our channel, right? That is how we are here. We are all always connected to source. In my understanding, That is how this works, right? But you guys, your channel, your column, you've been clearing it out, and you have been grounding, which allows you to open up your channel more and more and more and become bigger. You're becoming a bigger funnel, a bigger tube, a bigger channel, a larger conduit. And this is interesting. I'm not sure if this will make sense, but there is this feeling that your consciousness is like moving into the walls of the channel itself. Like imagine if you separated from source and you dug a tunnel all the way through all of the dimensions, all of reality to get down to earth. Imagine if it was like a tunneling process, which I have definitely experienced that on some layers of experience. It is a tunneling. And imagine that the tunnel was something that you left behind yourself, right? Because you were tunneling, and you moved through the tunnel and you left this empty space behind you. And you come down to earth and now you're a human and you've been grounding. And now the feeling is that your consciousness is actually rising back up into the tunnel and kind of coating the tunnel with your consciousness, or that your consciousness is actually infusing into the tunnel so that the tunnel or the tube or the conduit or the pipeline, the data cable, lots of different metaphors here that would work, is actually becoming a part of you, almost as if like becoming your own umbilical cord. You are becoming, you're allowing the conduit to the channel, the tunnel, to become alive, and it's actually becoming part of you. So you're becoming this open channel. Becoming this open channel that you have actually been creating for your entire descension cycle. So you separated from source and you came down through everywhere that you came down, and all of you had different journeys, right? But you were tunneling down. And now is the moment where you actually realize you weren't just creating a pathway. You weren't just digging a tunnel. You weren't just creating a path for others to follow. You were actually creating this tubular self. There is a song out there somewhere called Tubular Bells that is coming to mind. So as your consciousness inhabits this tube or this tunnel or this channel that you are, you will be able to ring out into the world. You'll be able to ring out into the world. Like someone can strike it with a mallet and it will vibrate. And that is why your consciousness wants to inhabit it, so that then you will be like a tubular bell. You'll be like a great big transdimensional chime. So there you go. You're becoming a interdimensional chime, a tubular bell. And so on the human level, you are becoming a channel, right? You're becoming a channel. Like literally. So those of you who want to do channeling work, this is it. This is the time for you. Your channel is opening up, more than ever before. Channeling doesn't have to be what you think it is. You may be challenged to let go of preconceived ideas about what channeling looks like, because you are going to be grounding, inventing, creating, discovering your own way of channeling. So drop out of the comparison trap right now and know that channeling does not have to look like it does for others. It doesn't even have to look like channeling. It can look like you're just standing there having a conversation, eating a pizza, drinking a coffee. It doesn't have to look mystical and mysterious. It can look like you. What if channeling looks like you moving through your day? the whole deck upside down. No. Queen of Swords came out in reverse. And of course, your channeling can come through from art. Death again. So that's the second time you guys got the Death card. And Princess of Cup dreams. This is this is another message of kind of this Queen of Swords in reverse along with the Death card. This is like reiterating that message about not getting distracted by the details, not getting distracted by the mind's desire to have things a certain way, and also not getting caught up in the comparison trap, right? And being reborn as this Princess of Cups, right? This dreams. This is somebody who is living in an intuitive state of movement, living in an intuitive state of movement. Earth angel, right? This Earth angel, Ace of Earth Guardians. This is what I have kind of dubbed in my mind being a walking channel. And I think this is, you know, the ultimate experience that all humans are meant to have is just waking up in the morning, doing whatever it is that you're doing, literally whatever it is that you're doing, mundane, boring, work, family, friends, adventure, debauchery, I don't care, literally anything that you could possibly be doing in your day. But doing it from this place of being so grounded and so tuned into your own core, tuned into your own authenticity, tuned into your own self, and your own self, your own core, being at the same time so tuned into your source, right? No, because they are in harmony, they are in perfect harmony, they are in this synergistic relationship, right? The synergistic relationship between you and your source. So that everything that you do is essentially an act of channeling the highest possible source of inspiration. Channeling isn't something you sit down to do and you meditate and then some other entity comes into your body and inspires you. Of course, channeling is that. Channeling is that. That is channeling, and that is a very profound and useful and divine form of channeling. Channeling can also look like you getting up and brushing your teeth and drinking your coffee and then going about doing whatever it is that you're doing that day. It's not about what you're doing, and it's not about what you are channeling. It is about how you are being. How you are being. How you are being. Are you being yourself? Are you being an earth angel? Are you being an emanation of source consciousness? Are you being that with every breath, with every movement, no matter what is going on, no matter what it is that you are doing? Are you infusing every moment of your waking, walking life with this grounded centeredness? That is what I mean. That's the best I can articulate it right now about being a walking channel, right? Just allowing the source energy to be flowing through you and being you in every moment as you move through your day. That is the best I can articulate this one, guys. Sending you so much love and light, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hey, card number 3, let's find out what is up for you guys. These have been pretty intense so far. Oh boy, and it's not going to slow down. Geometric coherence, 3 of portals. So the first 2 readings, and I know some of you will have inevitably watched one or both of them, were kind of about grounding and becoming something new through this process of groundedness, and also themes of kind of escaping linearity. But for you guys, this is taking this blasting it out into this web work, right? The imagery on here says it all. Look at all of these portals. Look at all of these portals and look at all of the sacred geometry within connecting all of these portals. We've got triangles, we've got circles, we've got, a whole kaleidoscope of energy going here. We have these rays of light coming out. We have this golden heart in the center. We have these rainbow colors. The complexity of this imagery, honestly, like my words will never do this justice. This image, this piece of art is worth 1,000,000 words because this is it. This is it. I honestly, how am I going to follow this up? How am I going to follow up this picture? This is you. This is what you are becoming. A rainbow sun with a heart of gold. A rainbow sun with a heart of gold. Now, there might be a couple of you watching this who are part of my accelerated evolution container, where I am doing new moon and full moon videos. If you're interested in that, you can check it out down below. For those of you who are not, let me just try to describe the Aquarius new moon video that I did, which was the last one I recorded, was all about this energy of becoming a rainbow sun with a heart of gold. A rainbow sun with a heart of gold. Balancing out the energy of the golden sun with the essence of all the rays of the rainbow. And that is what you are becoming. So, where shall I take this? Because I don't have the energy to repeat that whole transmission. So let me get some cards and see what I can do here. If you do find my readings very activating and would like more regular content for me, I would love to invite you to join the Accelerated Evolution Container. It's 2 videos a month, $8 a month. And that is where all of my energy for transmitting the deepest activations goes. I just don't have the energy to share all of that in YouTube videos like I would like. So I've created that container so that I have a space to do that. Because everybody who joins in the container makes it possible for me to transmit these deeper, to reflect these deeper reflections is the best way I can put it. Spirit of Wands and Six of Swords. I love this. Okay, this rainbow turtle. This rainbow turtle. We even see that the turtle shell is kind of golden, and then this rainbow is being cast. So this Six of Swords is this it's this card of transition. And I think this is what kind of lizard is this? Is this a gecko, you think? Is this a gecko? I know geckos mean something symbolically, but I cannot for the life of me off the top of my head remember what geckos symbolize. Some of you might know. You might want to look that up. Movement of Wands. So 2 foxes and 2 fire cards. Okay, so this fox is like walking through this portal here, right? This fox is walking through this portal. And this would actually be the Knight of Wands, and this would be the King of Wands. So I actually see this as you have this capacity to portal up through to a new higher expression of yourself, honestly skipping over this interim process. You know how on a human level, we all think, okay, I want to become this next greatest version of myself. But if I want to do that, I have to go through this whole linear process of learning a new thing, blah, 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 blah. And it's going to take all these years of work and all this whole process of transformation. I mean, that is true. That is largely how we do things. And yet, none of that has to be the case. It is possible to simply portal through to the new you. So honestly, I think what you guys are doing is you are unlocking that ability to simply transform. You're unlocking the ability to simply change. You're unlocking the ability to simply do it now. To change now. To do it now. To become now. And you do this by like accessing the frequency of like portal technology, right? This is portal technology. And some of you might resonate as a portal keeper. You might know about like being a portal and opening a portal, opening portals for others. That is kind of a particular strand of magical light work that some will be called to explore very deeply, but some will not. So you don't need to worry about that if that's not you, because this is something that you can simply feel inside of you. And so what is it that you want to be? This, I feel like for you guys, this is more about like you already know what this is, or you hope you know what it is, but maybe you're not sure, right? What is your big golden dream? What is your big dream, guys? And I mean a big dream, right? Because on one level, your dream might be to get a new car, get a better job, and get a nicer place, right? And get the relationship and kind of pay off some debt, right? And yes, all that is great, and I hope you do all those things. But what is your real dream? What is your real big dream, right? Do you want to be a New York Times bestselling author? Do you want to be an Oscar award-winning actor? Do you want to be a Nobel Prize winner? Do you want to go to every single country on the planet? Do you want to find the love of your life? Do you want to have a family and like live that idyllic family life, right? Whatever that looks like for you. Do you want to go to the moon? Do you want to be a CEO? I don't care what you want to do, right? I don't care what your dream is. What is your big, big, big dream? What is your big dream? And in fact, if some of you haven't practiced this, I would say if you are dreaming your big dream, you're probably not going big enough. So this is like an actual practice. It's like a visualization practice. It's a mindset practice where, okay, you dream your big, big dream, and then you dream it as big as you can make it, and then go bigger. Force yourself. If you go, well, I can't even imagine what would be a bigger dream than that. Force yourself to dream it bigger. Dream it even bigger. And then dream it even bigger. It's just to literally to stretch your imagination. And it whether or not you do these things in this life is kind of irrelevant, right? Of course you can. The point here is that, if you can imagine it, you can do it. You wouldn't be able to imagine something that you can't do. Like, I can imagine climbing Mount Everest. That is something that I could do in this life. Am I going to climb Mount Everest? No. I would love to, but do I really care? Do I really care enough? I would love to, but I'm probably not going to do it. I know I could. If I decided that was my big goal, to climb Mount Everest, I know that I could dedicate the next 5 years of my life getting into shape, doing intensive training, and saving up all of my money, and I could climb Mount Everest. I know I could do that. The thing is, I'm probably not going to do that, not because I can't, because I don't care. I don't care enough, right? I'll climb smaller mountains, right? I'll climb ones that need less preparation, less cost, and less extensive training. So there's also something here about, like, it's got to be a goal, a dream that you care about. That's why it's a dream, not a goal, right? A dream. You got to dream this dream. And this should be a dream that you'll know this dream is for you when that whole like cliche spiritual thing about, you get these messages, right? It's not the destination, it's the journey. And yeah, that message irritates me sometimes too, because I'm like, well, I've been walking the path and, I'm trying, like, yes, the journey and all that, but sometimes the journey kind of sucks and sometimes I just want to get to the destination. What I've realized is that is a sign that I wasn't actually on my highest path. If walking the path is just making me think about getting to the end, well, that I'm not as aligned as I could be. I'm not dreaming the most soul aligned dream. I'm not tuned into my truest, highest potential. Because if you are truly dreaming the dream that is your most soul aligned dream, then that whole stupid cliche annoying thing about you won't even care about getting to the destination because the journey is so satisfying and the journey is so fulfilling, it becomes true. So I bet we've all been there where we're like, okay, I'm trying to enjoy the journey. And maybe you enjoy the journey 75% of the time. Maybe you think mostly the journey's pretty good. Mostly you're like, okay, yeah, I think I'm getting the hang of this, enjoying the journey thing. And yet secretly, you're kind of like, right? There's like an ness to it because you want to get to the goal. When you're truly aligned with your greatest dream, you'll know it because the journey becomes so satisfying that you almost don't even want to get to the dream, right? You don't even want to get to the goal. I mean, you definitely do want to get to the goal, but you stop thinking about it and you just know it'll happen. When it happens, it'll happen someday, one day, because you're walking the path of your dream, and that means that you're in the dream now. Walking the path of your truest, most soul-aligned dream means that you are in the wake of the dream, in the trajectory of your dream. You're on the path of your dream, and walking the path of your dream should feel like a dream come true already. So, that is, and I just looked up and saw 11111 on the camera. So definitely. This might involve some dream work, right? Some dream work where you're really rethinking, okay, because you guys have probably done this already, right? Where you were living a life that you realized was not for you and you course corrected. And then you were like, okay, this life now I'm living, it's way better, right? It's so much better. It's satisfying and it's going to a place I want and I'm enjoying the journey a lot of the time. Maybe it's not perfect, but there's another level where, and it really involves tuning into this higher level of your dream. And so you're going to have to be breaking through fears, breaking through feelings of, well, can I do that? Breaking through fears of, who am I to think I could do something like that? All that kind of stuff. You guys know what I mean, right? And really, but then when you start, and you might go like, this big dream I just dreamed up for myself, that seems completely nuts. There's no way I could ever do that. But just start, and you will know, because it will feel so good to simply be doing it, right? To simply be doing it. Like somebody who wants to be, a world famous, like household name musician, right? If you want to be the next Michael Jackson, right? If you want everybody to hear your music, and you might think, well, that might be impossible in this lifetime, but if the process of making your music is the most satisfying, most joy-filled, and it might also be the most challenging, but it's a challenge that like nourishes your soul, and it's a challenge that you are obsessed with, and that you just want to spend all of this time working on your music and playing music and writing music and then finding people to play for and recording, just doing all of it, just getting yourself lost in this process of being a musician. That's how you know you're on the path of your dream, because it is consuming your life with, yes, there will be challenges, yes, there will be obstacles and all that, but just the experience of living the path of the dream, it should feel so good. And, to go on to this, to continue with this one example, of course, maybe none of you want to be musicians. I don't know. This is just an example. Some of you, maybe you just need to make a small iteration, right? Maybe if you are wanting to be this next level musician and you already are a musician, but something doesn't quite feel right? Maybe it's not as fulfilling as you want it to be. This is really emotional, actually. This is for someone. Maybe there's an adjustment to, maybe you don't need to give up on being a musician, but maybe there's an adjustment to how you are making your music, or the type of music you are creating, who you are creating it with. Right? Maybe it's a change in genre. Maybe it's a change of instrument. Maybe it's making music without lyrics, or, maybe it's making music with lyrics. Maybe it's a complete style change. There's so many, like, music is such a huge topic, right? Like, all the different ways you could change and adjust and evolve and grow your music. It should feel like, it's like if you were a singer, whatever kind of songs you are singing, it should feel like you are singing your heart out. Like when you sing and you open your mouth and you sing straight from your soul, right? And the music and the place where you make your music, it all should be supportive of feeling like you're just singing your soul straight out of your heart, right? So that's how you can feel into, like, is your way of being a musician, is it totally aligned with that dream, right? And you will know it is when you create that place and that space and that modality, all of it, where it can feel like your soul is just coming alive and like you can truly sing your heart out, right? Like you can truly sing your heart out. So whatever it is for you guys, right? Some of you might need to make bigger changes. Some of you might, as in, quitting your job as a lawyer to go off and become a painter, right? For some of you, it might be in putting down the paint and picking up the pencil crayon. I actually knew an artist who he was an interesting guy because he only had one working eye. But he was a really talented artist, and he did all of his art with pencil crayons, or colored pencils, as Americans call them. My husband always laughs at me when I call them pencil crayons. Anyway, he always tried to be a painter because he thought that real artists were painters, and he took lessons and he took classes and he studied under painters, and he said he hated it. He hated drawing. He hated painting. He wanted to just do all of his art with pencil crayons, and that's what he did. And he had a very, he made a living. He made a very comfortable living for him and his son as a painter, as an artist, as a professional artist, with his pencil crayons. So, there could be it could be a big change or a small adjustment to your craft. But you're just seeking that feeling, right? You're seeking the feeling. And all of this, right, coming back to this idea of you're like unlocking and unleashing your portal technology, because when you get into this alignment with your dream, when the path feels like you're already living the dream. So it doesn't matter, if you've won the Grammy, it doesn't matter if you've won the Nobel Prize, it doesn't matter if you've been published, it doesn't matter if you've made your $10 million, like whatever the goal is, right? It doesn't quite matter. You still want that and you're still working towards it, but it doesn't quite matter that you don't have it yet, because the path of getting there feels so satisfying and it already feels like the dream, right? And it's in that space, that is when things can actually happen really fast, where you might be like, okay, yeah, I could walk this path for 100 lifetimes. But it's funny, as soon as you get into that place, that's when you go through the portal. That's when the portal opens. That is how you create the portal. It's like you think you're walking a path and you think, okay, I'm just going to walk this path for as long as it takes. And that is the moment when you discover the portal. That is the moment when you open the portal for yourself. And that is when, you could go from 0 to hero overnight, right? It's like you find the portal on the path of your dream, and then that is the shortcut to get you to the end of the dream, but then you find that it was not the end, it was only the beginning, because now you are living in the dream. And now what do you do that you are living in the dream? Time for healing. Yeah, so for some of you, this could, like I was saying, I was getting kind of emotional. For some of you, this could be like a long, bitter, frustrated thing. If this has been something that you've been trying to create for yourself for a long time, I feel like this is the healing of frustration, the healing of bitterness, and the healing of wanting to give up. I feel like it's don't give up, but consider iterating. Don't give up, consider iterating. I'd really say before you guys give up, try to just make an adjustment, a change, right? To try and find the way that will make the path feel how you want it to feel. Hold your vision. Hold your vision. And this is where I know from experience, guys, when I get these cards, and like this message is also for me too, right? When you get these messages about like, don't give up, like blah, 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 it can be really frustrating. Like, I know, I feel it too. Yeah, so, but I would say, because I've been having certain things unfold for me in my own kind of creative healing journey, like my healing in my own creative process, right? And I used to think it was about persevering through, frustration and persevering through obstacles. And I mean, I think we obviously, we all go through years of being in that phase of persevering through frustrations and delays and bitterness and obstacles and just like, blah, right? Yes. But we don't, I would just be repeating myself at this point where I'm saying it's about, you want to find the iteration of your journey where you get to that place of where the journey actually feels like the dream, right? I've been saying that and saying that and saying that, and I could just repeat that forever. But that is really the magical moment. And it could be first, it's really subtle, right? It could be you sitting down with your paintbrush and going, finally, like I painted for an hour, and the whole hour that I was painting, it was so mystical and magical and spiritual, and I felt so good just painting for an hour, right? It begins like that. It begins with a moment or an hour. And then it grows from there into, these greater moments and experiences of your life. It grows, right? It grows. So even if it's only 5 minutes, and then it grows to an hour, and then it's a day, and then it grows and it grows and it grows. So really focus on, even if you're only experiencing that feeling of being on the golden path, if you only feel that for moments at a time, that is your clue. That is your flag. That is your stepping stone. Grow that, expand that, right? Expand that. If you're a singer and you feel like, okay, maybe you're singing in a certain style of music, and and you think it's good and all that, but if you could truly sing literally anything you want, like if you could go out into a field where no one could hear you and you could just sing your heart out, how would you sing? That is how you should sing. Okay? If somebody's listening to this, if you're a singer, maybe actually do that. Like go out into nature. If it's like a beach or a field or a meadow or top of a mountain, literally go out or just imagine it, right? Go into your bathroom and do this. Go in your car stuck in traffic. How would you sing? How would you sing if you were in the most inspired place you have ever been, and if you could just sing your heart out? How would you sing? That is how you should sing when you're in the recording studio. That is how you should write your songs around to support that way of singing. Even like no matter how the singing sounds, right? Because, and especially think about all of the different ways of singing. Like look at the way other cultures sing, other different traditional styles of music. So if you think when you're singing your heart out, if you think that you're just like screaming like a crazy lady, there's probably a style, a tradition of music out there that will fit you. And you could take that and then you could even combine it together with modern Western music and you could create something entirely new. What do you need to release? That is you going out and screaming your heart out, right? Or that is you picking up the paintbrush and painting like a mad artist, right? Like a truly inspired divine genius, right? Wanting to release. What do you want to release? So I feel like the frustration like that is being healed with this group is because you've had like creative frustrations where something hasn't been able to be expressed and you've been brewing and brewing and brewing on this for a very, 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 very long time. And it wants to come out. It wants to come out and you are just finding the portal. You are finding the most resonant outlet. Oh, and all my cards just fell over everything. Okay. I want to get one last card for you guys. From the Foxfire Kitsune deck, I will draw the card and then read you the message. Go in. Okay. be still a while. This is funny because this is a message of waiting. And I know that with this group, you guys have some frustrations around waiting and those messages around waiting. Because I feel like you guys, you've heard it all before, right? About how waiting is sometimes the most productive thing for you to do. You know, resting is sometimes the best thing for you to be doing. And sometimes you simply need to wait in order for the divine timing, right? You guys, you've heard it all before. You've heard it all before. I'm just looking at this and I don't even know if I want to read this to you guys because I feel like this is not what you need to hear. Because it's not because you don't need to hear it, it's because you already know this message, right? You know this message about slow down and wait and, you know, rest and recuperate and all of that. You guys know that message. So honestly, I feel like it would be a waste of my breath to read that to you. So what can I get for you guys instead? I don't feel like any other deck, any of these cards really has the message for you guys. And, you know, that has been a little bit of a background theme. I mean, not too much because I have a lot of decks and, you know, but I'm going to read this as the meta message here, right? The meta message here. Because here I am looking around for some kind of answer, for some kind of message, for something, right? I'm looking around for something. And sometimes it cannot be found. Because you guys, you've already heard it all, right? You've already heard all of these messages. You guys already know all of these messages. For you, we need something brand new. And I think this is honestly a reflection of what you are all individually creating. You are creating something brand new. So in, you know, whatever it is that you are creating in your life or creating in your creative projects or just whatever, in your spirituality, whatever it is that you were doing, it is literally about creating something you have never seen before. Literally about creating something you have never been before. Something that has never been seen on this earth before. Something entirely new, something entirely different. And of course, there is this kind of thing of, is there really anything new in all of creation, right? Does everything already all exist? Can we still create new things if everything in all of creation has already all been created and everything is just all happening in parallel, right? You can go really abstract and kind of consider that kind of conundrum. But the point, what I think we can zero in on here is that as far as you are able to tune into, as far as you are able to experience, as far as you are aware of, you are becoming something that no one has ever seen before. You are becoming something that your guides haven't seen before. On the level of your soul, like your guides, almost like they can't tell you what this is, or they can guide you. They're still guiding you. They're still supporting you. They're still very useful, but it's like they can't tell you what you are becoming because you are creating something. You are creating a version of yourself that they have never seen before, that you have never been before. You are creating something entirely brand new, and that is honestly the heart of your soul's blueprint to become something that has not been before. This is really interesting. So it's like there is a little seed, a little piece of code, a little bit of instructions inside of you deep inside of you, and this little piece of code, it says, it's got the instructions to become something brand new, to become something that has never been before. Now, I don't understand how that code was written. There's details there that I can't understand. But you have this instructions inside of you that there is an instruction manual for the process about how to become something brand new. And that's the thing. The instructions are about how to become something brand new. They don't say what that brand new thing is. They say become something brand new, become something you've never been before. But you can kind of see how necessarily that means it can't tell you what you are becoming, and it can't tell you exactly what that brand new thing is, because then it wouldn't be brand new. You know what I mean? You see what I mean there? So all you can do at this point is feel deep, deep into your innermost core, deep, deep, deep into your bones, deep, deep, deep into your deepest, most primordial instincts, deep, deep, deep into your DNA, right? Deep, deep, deep into your physical DNA, your spiritual DNA. I'm just grasping at metaphors here that, trying to get my point across. You're feeling deep into that nugget, that kernel, that seed that is going to become, that is becoming something that has never been before. And just allow it to grow, allow it to unfurl and to unfold and to burst forth. And through using this kind of portaling process, portaling is not a process. Portaling is just something you do. You just go through the portal. How is a baby born? A baby doesn't really do anything to be born. A baby just goes through the portal, right? That's what you are doing. You are just bursting through the portal and becoming. You are bursting through the portal and becoming. And as you become, you are also going to give birth to something on this earth that has never been seen here before. And that is what I have for you guys. I'm going to go lay down because this took a lot out of me. So sending you all so much love and light, and just thank you for being here, and just thank you for being. Thank you for being. Bye.